Hi, thanks for joining me. This is my video review of my first application I've ever created using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So let's see what we created. On page load, there's a prompt that says, let's build your personal art gallery. Please enter your name to begin. So I am going to enter my name, Matt. And on load, it looks like it interpolated the user's name to the personal gallery heading. And also Matt's taking these to the auction house to give a little personal experience while you do this. So, paintings for your consideration. It looks like we have 10 paintings here, and they have an all take it button or an all pass button. Now, when you click the buttons, all take it, it adds it to your personal gallery. Now, if you were to click all pass, it moves those into your Matt's taking these to the auction house collection. And as you hover over the pictures, it looks like the opacity changes, which means they're interactive most likely. So when you click on them, as you can see, you get a full pop-up of the image to give you a better look at whether you'd like to take it or pass on each painting. So I think I'll take that one, take it, pass, 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 pass. Now, as you sort through those 10 paintings and you're done, it looks like there's a button that automatically pops up. It says load more paintings to sort through. So as you click that, you get 10 more paintings that you can look through. And as you start sorting them, that painting or that button disappears. So you no longer can load more paintings until you sort through what you've already loaded. Now you can do this as many times as you'd like, as long as you don't go through all 403 paintings that we had to work with. So as you can see, button pops up, you get 10 more random pictures to look through, and you can sort accordingly. You can click on them for a full screen image, and you can keep going as long as you'd like. As you do that, the paintings that you want to take go to your personal gallery. The paintings that you want to pass on go to your auction house section. Now, if you change your mind, you can also click I'll take it, and as you can see, it will add those back into your personal gallery. And same thing, you can decide I don't want Cool Waters. You can click on I'll pass, adds Cool Waters to your auction house collection. And you can do this as many times as you'd like. You can keep loading them, keep sorting them up until you get through all 400 of the paintings. Now let's look at the code and see how we built this. We'll start with the HTML page. The HTML page is pretty bare, and we kept it like that so you could manipulate the data once it's all loaded and dynamically add to the page structure using JavaScript. So we start here with the H1. Let's build your Bob Ross collection, and then we go into the body. We created a div here for the paintings that you like, or sorry, this is for the initial 10 paintings that you have loaded. This is where the 10 paintings will load up and you can sort through them. Then we just have a basic div here for your liked paintings, a div here for your discarded paintings. And we have a footer here that we added just with some personal information. And we created a link here that you can click on and it'll load your default mail app, and you can contact me through email. Then we also have a div for the full screen images that we called the module. And it has a close button. It has a spot for the image, the full-size image to go in. We were going to add a module for the caption when you loaded a full screen image. We kept it there. We decided not to use it because it just seemed like too much information and the user didn't need to know the title of the picture in order to decide whether they liked it or not. So then we'll go into the JavaScript. This is where everything really happens. We have our base URL, which is the public API that we use to fetch all of the data. Then we go to the first event listener we have here, which is called, it's on the document. When the DOM content is loaded, it's going to fire the getName function. The getName function is right here. That's the window prompt that takes the user input and interpolates the value into the multiple gallery titles. So we have name, we let name equal the window prompt, which is let's build your personal art gallery. Please enter your name to begin. It takes that name that the user inputs and interpolates that into the personal gallery heading, and also into the taking these to the auction house heading. That way it just gives a little more personalization to the user experience. Then we call the getPaintings function. The getPaintings function is what fetches the data from the public API. And in order to do that, I only wanted 10 pictures to be loaded at once. So what I did was I created a random number using math random multiplied by 403, which is the amount of paintings that were in the public API, and subtracting 10 from that, which took away any problems of, say, the random number was 401, and that way only 2 paintings would be loaded instead of the 10 paintings that we really wanted to work with. So first we got our random number to work with. We created that, and we called a fetch on the base URL, which is the public API. We chained a .then to that, and we JSONified that data so that we could work with it. Chained another .then call onto that data, and we passed that data into the render paintings function. But before we did that, we sliced the data and used our random number that we created on line 8, and also followed that with the same random number and added 10 to it. That way we would have 10 paintings. Always will be random, a random 10 paintings, so that you don't see the same 10 paintings over and over when you press that button to get more paintings. So we have our random 10 paintings that we're working with. We pass that into the render paintings function, and we take that data, we map over that data, which would be the 10 paintings, and we tell the page what to do with it. So we created a painting container right here on line 16, and we set some attributes to the divs that we need to be working with. We also got a title from our fetch call, and after we do that, we created some HTML to put into the painting container that we created on line 16. We interpolated some data for the title and also for the ID. We created a div where we wanted the buttons to be placed, and we also interpolated some data from the fetch call so that each ID would be linked to the appropriate picture. And after all that, we simply appended the painting container that we created onto the collection div that was created in the HTML page. After we have all of the data and we have the data rendered, we called a button clicks function and a click on pictures function. The button clicks function right here on line 43, that's where the event listeners are added to each button. And once we have that all done, we named the buttons. We called a for each on each button, and that's where event listeners are going to be added to each individual button, which are now linked to the appropriate pictures. The event listeners are waiting for a click action, and that click action is going to be passed into our sort paintings function. The sort paintings function is what compares the event target ID, that click event, with the corresponding div IDs. And if the IDs match, we move the contents into the corresponding div. We named an index here variable, and we extracted the number from that index. And then after all of that, we simply used an if-else-if statement and said if the target ID includes liked, it goes to the like collection. Else if the target ID includes discarded, you put it in the discarded collection. Now we're on the function click on pictures, and this is what enlarges the pictures into a full screen. So for that, we told the program to call for each on each individual picture, and for each individual picture we added an event listener waiting for a click event. And once we did that, we passed it into another function which actually enlarges the pictures and makes it full screen. The function for enlarge pictures, we simply get the module that we already created, and we tell it to display the module as block. We said that the image is from the event target source, the image source. We also had to tell the span element, we had to get the span element, which is the button that actually closes the full screen image. And for the span button, we said on click, we called an anonymous function, and we made the display none, which basically makes that module disappear. So when you click the span button, the close button, the module will disappear and you go back to the web page. And now we're on to our add paintings function. The paintings function is where we add event listeners to the button to add more pictures. So every time you sort through those 10 pictures, that button will appear. And on that button, we have another click, add event listener, and it simply calls the get paintings function, which is right here. We get to reuse all of that code all over again. And once we're there, we add an event listener to the sorting section. If there's no pictures, so once you sort all your pictures, that button will become visible. If there's more than 0 pictures, that button is hidden so that the user doesn't get overwhelmed. So that's all of our JavaScript. Now we're into the CSS. The CSS, we just did some basic beautification to the page. All pretty basic stuff. We used grid wrap in order to make the pictures all look organized. We have 2 rows, 5 columns. And we have the module here. We used a lot of CSS on the module so that we could have that full screen image pop up. And we have some animation in here. Close button. Basic CSS stuff, which I learned a bunch about while building this application. So hopefully that was informative and it all made my web page easier to understand what's going on behind the scenes. And I hope that you enjoyed the experience. Thanks for watching.